Hi friends, host Eric here, correcting Margie. Margie put a comment that said, "You are not correct contributing to progress nor to the advancement of humanity as you yourself are not conducting yourself in a civilized manner, the very thing you preach. Your means to starting a meaningful conversation are antiquated and only serve to increase the distance between our cultures. Not sure how you can boast being civilized as you have failed to demonstrate refinement, humanness, and a moral advancement or restraint. I get what you're saying, but you are allowing your emotions and penchant for vulgarity to tarnish your argument. In order to effectively advocate and shepherd the moving forward of our cultures, I believe it's imperative to possess moral high ground. What say you?" Absolutely imperative to possess moral high ground. However, Margie, I say you too have internalized a false narrative that conflates social grace with a moral issue. I didn't hurt anybody. I wasn't even rude to anyone. It is not possible for me to insult the prophet. He's dead or imaginary. I can't hurt Islam. It's an institution or an ideology, not a person. Get it? She responded by saying, "Social grace is manufactured and robotic behavior according to the rules of society." No, that's not social grace. That's proper etiquette or something. Not what I'm talking about. Morality is a state of enlightenment made possible. Nope. Nope. Morality is not a state, right? Morality is something we use to adjudicate actions. Okay? So if an action is moral, actions can have certain statuses. It can be morally permissible, morally forbidden, morally required. Okay? So, I mean, that's step one. We have to understand that morality is an actual thing. It's not just whatever you feel like calling it, right? There are various normative systems to produce for us determinations that are either predictive or descriptive regarding actions and their state of moral okayness. Again, three kinds of moral status: morally permissible, morally obligatory, morally forbidden. Okay? So, right off the bat, I know you're not talking about anything because you're not using words right. All right, so it's essentially insight and understanding based on cause and effect that is further adopted. Nope. A person is not moral or immoral. Actions are moral or immoral, and a person who is deemed immoral is because they persist in engaging in immoral actions. Sometimes the two converge at certain points. Perhaps in an action, if anyone has conflated the two, it is you. No, you don't even understand what morality is. Morality and common sense dictates that in a culture where historically the drawing of animate beings has been forbidden, your boorish demonstration will be taken as an affront. I know it will be. That's true. It will be definitely taken as an affront. I want it to be taken as an affront. The door will be slammed in your face before you get another word in edgewise. I'm not trying to get more words in. It's not the way to advancement. Yes, it is. Here's why. Because KG and Crescent Shamrock and any other Muslim who took offense at my picture of Muhammad will take less offense next time. Not from me, maybe. Maybe they've run away from me and they're never going to hear from me again. I've already changed them. I've already fixed them a little bit. They'll be less offended next time. I've desensitized them. I understand your point. You're preaching to the choir. No, I'm not. I'm taking a moral stance, as the saying goes. I'm not preaching to any choir. I'm not preaching anything, right? What I'm doing is taking a clear moral stance. I will not succumb to your threats of violence. I will defy them openly. What is really being accomplished here? One cannot score a goal if they're busy playing defense. You're starting on bad footing, which will unfortunately prove detrimental to your argument as a whole. You're mushing together sort of practical considerations and moral considerations in a hobmosh of nothingness. Let's actually talk about the issue. Curtis Caldwell Center. The incident here was carried out by two men who attacked officers with gunfire at the entrance of an exhibit featuring cartoons, images of Muhammad at the Curtis Caldwell Center in Garland, Texas. The attacker shot a Garland Independent School District officer in the ankle. Note, these people who did this were Americans, but they had converted to Islam, you see. So, goes to show you something, right, about what we're talking about. The event, which featured images of Muhammad, was advertised as the first annual Muhammad Art Exhibit and Contest presented by American Freedom Defense Initiative, or Stop Islamization of America. It was organized by the AFD together with David Horowitz, Freedom Center's Jihad Watch, blah, 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 blah. It's been classified as a hate group. Okay? The AFDI, which describes itself as a human rights organization dedicated to free speech, religious liberty, and individual rights, says Cuban Jihad is a problem in America. The Southern Poverty Law Center lists AFDI as an anti-Muslim hate group, which just goes to show you how crazy people are and how commonplace, Margie, your fallacy is. There's a failure even on our end to distinguish between action that has moral weight and language, expression, communication. It's different. They're different things, right? So basically, we're under threat of violence. Here it says right here, drawing living things on a whole are frowned upon. In certain schools, not considered completely forbidden. Generally, the prophets are, as a whole, are off limits. The reasoning is pretty straightforward. On one hand, it is to prevent any prophet or living thing from being deified. Okay, that's a weird thing. Depictions of Muhammad are shunned upon to prevent Muslims from revering the prophet to an extreme where he would have been considered a god by placing pictures in his home or mosque and praying to him. Well, I'm helping you guys accomplish that by understanding that drawing pictures of Muhammad helps you to be desensitized so that you no longer act so fucking crazy. Okay? Simple. All right, 2 shot dead after they opened fire at Muhammad cartoon event in Texas. The same one? Yeah, that's the same story. Okay. Why Muslims don't like when you draw Muhammad. So this is by a Muslim. And what they say is, this is basically Margie's point. Now, for non-Muslims, we can't expect them to respect our prophet the way we do, but what we see from time to time is that some people disrespect the prophet Muhammad. The real question is, why is it that all these depictions are always done for the purpose of insulting the prophet in Islam? Why they always want to make fun of him and show him in a bad way? Why don't we see any respectful drawings of the prophet done by non-Muslims? Why are all of them disrespectful? It's obvious all those who draw the prophet want to insult him in Islam. There is no Muslim who complains about respectful drawings of the prophet, but when someone draws the prophet in a shameful way to make fun of him or like him to terrorism, linking him to terrorism, making him an ugly cartoon character or something like that, we don't like it and we have the right not to like it. You do have the right not to like it. If someone insults your father, will you like it? No, I will not like it. If you love your father, you're certainly not. Then you know our prophet is dearer to us than our fathers. Okay, well, you don't have to like it. Nobody's saying you have to like it. We Muslims don't draw and make fun of any religious symbols, not our own. And that's your prerogative under free expression. Nobody's telling you you should. We don't make fun of or insult other people's beliefs. We respect everyone's belief and ask the same from others. You don't respect people's beliefs because you think they can be killed for them. We don't like when someone insults our beloved prophet and calls it freedom of speech. Everyone is free to express his opinion considering that he or she respects the beliefs of others and doesn't offend them. No, that's not freedom to express my opinion. Freedom to express my opinion only occurs when it is something that others don't like and it offends them. That is the only kind of speech that ought to be protected. It's the only kind of speech that needs to be protected. Most people confuse hate speech and freedom of speech. No, you're confusing me pointing out why your fucking stupid religious ideas are so wrong, right? I'm pointing that out. I'm pointing out that it's a reciprocal burdens issue. I'm winning all of the arguments here. You can't win this argument without turning towards a religious text as justification. But we can't use religious beliefs as justifications for a universal rule that applies to all people. So what I'm telling you is the only universal rule that applies to both of us is what? The right to non-interference. Okay? You don't get to say whether or not somebody else can say something because you're offended by it. Another thing to know is those people who draw bad drawings to insult the Prophet Muhammad, all of them share the same thing. They like to insult others when they feel weak. That's not what's going on here. I've been threatened with death, okay, if I draw Muhammad. That makes that every person who ever agrees with that, in my mind, is guilty of a criminal threat of violence. I have two choices. I can either succumb to that criminal threat of violence, be swayed by threats. I can kowtow. I can, I can placate. I can try to appease. Okay. You threaten me with violence. Okay, I won't do it then. Or I can make it very abundantly clear that every single time you express any speck of notion that it ought to be illegal or that there ought to be any use of coercion against me because I'm drawing Muhammad, I'm going to draw Muhammad. This is not trying to start a meaningful conversation, Margie, right? I'm not trying to start a meaningful conversation. You mistake the state of affairs. You think we are in a different state of affairs than we're in. I've been subjected to criminal threats of violence. Not directly, not personally, but let's see what happened with Charlie Hebdo. What happened there? Let's find out what happened there. You want to? Let's find out. Charlie Hebdo will no longer publish images of the Prophet Muhammad. Here's why. Let's find out. Maybe it's because Muslims killed a bunch of them for drawing pictures. You think? Come on, fucking thing. Hurry up. French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo will no longer publish depictions of the Prophet Muhammad, according to editor Laurent Sourceau. Sourceau told German magazine Stern, as reported by Deutsche Welle, that her Charlie Hebdo has done its job in promoting free speech and has already successfully defended the right to caricature. Okay, well, the answer is, why did they have to stop? Well, because they killed the entire fucking staff. Yep. Who did? Muslims. Why? Because of Islam and the rules. We've drawn Muhammad to defend the principle that no one can draw, that one can draw whatever they want. We have drawn Muhammad to defend the principle that one can draw whatever they want. It's a bit strange, though. We are expected to exercise a freedom of expression that no one dares to. Since the January attacks, Charlie Hebdo has appeared to soften its position about publishing depictions of Muhammad. However, Sourceau insisted that this new decision had nothing to do with the violent terrorist attacks. We still believe we have the right to criticize all religions. The editor clarified that he did not want people to begin thinking that the publication is possessed by Islam. The mistakes you could blame Islam for could be found in other religions. So, who won that battle? I mean, those are nice words and everything for the editor. But, guess what? They killed him. They killed them all. Almost all of them. Was 10, 12 people? Journalists? It's because it's not an issue that we can compromise on at all. If it's okay to silence me a little bit because they're offended, then it's okay to silence me a lot. And if it's okay to say, we're going to give you a little fine for drawing Muhammad, it's okay to kill me for that. They killed Americans for free expression on our own soil. They killed an entire office of Frenchmen for free expression on French soil. If you want to be a civilized person, it's not about your tone, Margie. It's about your principles. If you were the Prime Minister of England prior to Churchill, you'd have gotten off that plane too, waved that paper and said, "There will be peace in our time. I made a deal with the devil. So it's great. We're great." No deals with the devil. No. I draw Muhammad and insult the Prophet, so to speak. It's impossible, as I've said it already. You can't insult the Prophet. He's dead or imaginary. You only insult living people. You can make fun of the Prophet. You can't insult him. That's neither here nor there. The point is, Margie, if you don't have the cojones, fine. I'll take the risk for you. Okay? Everyone knows who I am. Know my name, what city I live in. If they come and kill me, will you still feel the same? Will you still be so concerned about the words? Because there's some things you could actually be upset about that are worth being upset about. Like those dead French writers. Or the ongoing threats of violence. The notion that it's somehow reciprocal and fair that we don't make fun of your sacred stuff, West, so therefore you can't make fun of our sacred stuff. Doesn't work like that. That's why we only have duties of non-interference. So, Margie, you don't understand. I'm not trying to start a meaningful conversation with them. There's no meaningful conversation to be had while they're pointing guns at us. Okay? So, if you want to have a meaningful conversation with me and you're a Muslim, you start by saying, I acknowledge that never, ever, ever should anyone being offended on religious grounds justify violence. That's rule number one. If you can't agree to that, then you're not a civilized human being. Now, I understand a lot of civilized human beings are squeamish. I think that's what you are. You're squeamish. I understand that. That's fine. You can stay off to the sidelines. But don't think your squeamishness puts you in the moral right here. I mean, you're expressing moral cowardice. There's a threat of violence. It's that simple. I won't succumb to extortion. And I will make it abundantly clear that any attempt to extort me will result in as many middle fingers as I can throw at you. Now, my Muslim viewers are great people. I like to talk to them. I think they're wonderful individuals. If they're so offended by this that they don't want to watch this channel anymore, then I've accomplished a great, wonderful thing. Because they have to think about it a lot. They have to realize Eric's not a bad guy. And yet, he seems genuinely, correctly outraged by this shit. We as Muslims don't really have any arguments about it. We just kind of go, look, it's... Fuck you, then. Take your fucking guns down. Right? I have no interest in drawing Muhammad or in Islam at all. It is motivated entirely by the fact that I have been threatened to keep me from doing so. Not personally. The whole fucking world has been threatened. So, Margie, if you want to do the right thing, draw a picture of fucking Muhammad, get on a camera, and start talking some smack. That's called character. That's called standing up to injustice, even though it's uncomfortable. What you are doing is called pandering, or placating, or appeasing, or something like that. It's bad, bad, bad. You're just encouraging them. There's no discussion to be had. Oh, you think you can get away with that? No, fuck you! Is the only response. Because there's no compromise, right? Okay, well, we sort of respect your... No! It's an issue of freedom of expression. It's binary. Either it's okay or it's not. If you think it's okay, you're fucking stupid and you're fucking uncivilized. That's it. Yeah. Seems so obvious to me. I don't understand why anybody would even dare to even challenge it for a second.